Hi, I'm Peter Reynolds, and welcome to Pros and Conversations, the podcast that explores what it takes to be successful, whether you're from the world of business, science, or the arts. On this episode, we'll be exploring one of the most powerful yet often underutilized tools for entrepreneurs and small business owners, LinkedIn. The big question, is LinkedIn really just a job hunting platform? Or is it a tool that can effectively help entrepreneurs build their personal brand, generate leads, and establish their authority in the industry? And someone who's very familiar with authority, or at least the authorities, is my co-host, marketing consultant, Damon Didachi. Good to see you again, Damon.
Good to see you, Peter. You know, season 3, I thought we should have more fanfare. I'm going to need some intro music or something this year. So work on that, would you? Because, you're not really helping my cred with your intros lately.
That is true. Okay, so I will get you your personal theme song by the next episode.
It better not be Bad Boys.
Well, now you're putting me in a box. Okay, this is not good. Well, I must say I'm looking forward to our conversation today because I'm definitely guilty of seeing LinkedIn as more of a digital business card than a place where I can grow my business.
Yeah, absolutely. Easy trap to fall into it. And we know it's been out for a while. Everybody's been using it for quite a while. So, you might get lax on it too. But it has stood the test of time. It is a powerful tool. And we've got a live wire of a guest on today, an expert in the field to give us all the ins and outs.
Absolutely. And that is a great segue to introduce our guest. Stacey Maynard is a digital marketing expert and LinkedIn strategist. She's well known for helping entrepreneurs and professionals maximize their online presence through storytelling and content creation. She's also the co-founder of The Mastermind City, an innovative hub for digital growth and branding. Stacey, welcome to Pros and Conversations.
Thanks, guys. I want to know what my theme song is going to be.
Ooh.
We'll see. By the end of the show, we'll know for sure.
Yeah.
Now, full disclosure, Stacey is what we call in the biz a friend of the show. She's known well to us and has given us some advice in the past to our networking group, the Business Alliance, on how to beef up and maximize your LinkedIn profile. So we know that she's got a ton of great info to share.
Stacey, maybe we can start at the beginning and just talk a little bit about your experience with LinkedIn and, why people often, just see it as a place for job hunting rather than a place they can stay active even when they're employed.
Well, I think LinkedIn, first of all, thank you guys for having me on the show. That's awesome. It's great to see you. I haven't seen you guys in a long time. And yes, I remember coming to see you guys when we talked about LinkedIn, and I remember you guys first started talking about the show, and you've had some great guests on, which is amazing. So you could probably find really good guests on LinkedIn, and we'll talk about how you could do that. But LinkedIn started that way, right? Like back in the day when it first began, you want to talk about the beginning, it was a place where you just uploaded your resume. You were looking for a job, you uploaded your resume. It was a place when first sort of came online that you could go and you could find people, you could search. It kind of took your resume and broke it up into pieces so that it was sort of that original SEO concept where you could actually find someone if you were looking for someone for a particular job employment. It has grown so much since then. It's absolutely an insane platform for thought leaders, leaders of all businesses, entrepreneurs, CEOs of, amazingly large companies are on there, to, people who are just graduating university and everybody in between. So it is literally a place for anybody who's a professional, a leader, thought leader. It's great for your personal and professional brand. And it is no longer a place where you can only find jobs. Now, in saying that, it is absolutely an amazing place to job search, right? You can reach out to potential employers. Again, you can have your experience there, but you can also start to build your own brand, even if you are looking for a quote unquote job, a job, so people can find you, they can see what you're talking about. You can actually have thoughts and actually put it out there and not just have a place where you can go, okay, here's my resume, one and done.
It's interesting because I know that in terms of, when you have a job, you're not thinking about the next job. So, or maybe you are, but at least in my case, I'm not.
Depending on how it goes.
So the idea, so what are the benefits, of continuing to, share your thoughts and interact on the platform even when you have a job?
Well, I think some of the advantages, again, is building that professional and personal brand. So, for example, if you have a job and I worked for you, as an example, and I worked for the company called Pros and Conversations, and it's a great marketing company, but I'm just not just, I hate to word just, but I'm an employee. And my network is different than your network. So if I'm talking about, I don't know, production as an example, and you're the CEO of the company, the people who I'm connected with are going to see, wow, like she really knows all of her stuff and she works for Pros and Conversations, right? More than just, hey, here I am and I'm looking for my next job. It can actually help position your company as an advocate for your company and as a brand for your company. Every employee of your company really is a walking, talking billboard, brand, advocate, all of that stuff for your company. And unfortunately, I don't think people and employees don't really see it that way. Entrepreneurs see it that way as far as building a network, but everybody needs a professional network, right? No matter what kind of job they have or whether they're an entrepreneur or business owner.
It just occurred to me as well that it can help you within your own company. So you may be at position
Absolutely.
A, but if you're commenting and setting yourself as a recognized expert, you're kind of thinking ahead, hey, I want this promotion. I want to move into this department. Let me show my colleagues, let me show my bosses who are also on LinkedIn that this is an area of interest that I have, that this is an area of expertise.
And actually, it becomes an expectation because I know in the corporate world, the expectation is that you are sharing business business posts and company posts within your own network. So it's an expectation that you almost are not a forced brand advocate, but that you are sharing business information, like I said, in company updates with your network, because everybody would have a different network.
Awesome. So if we try and look at it from the other side for a moment, if you are in a position like I am trying to help my clients in marketing their business, or you're marketing your own business, LinkedIn is a unique opportunity as well. Instead of looking for jobs, it's looking for clients. There are so many specifics in how you can target your advertisements and your spend on talking to the right type of people. Is that still a strong tool today?
Absolutely, because you think about all the other social media platforms, right? You go to Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, you name it, X, Twitter, whatever we're calling it these days. All of those ones have these, you have your company bio that's about, this big. You can put a few words about what you do, but really it's all about your content, right? It's all about what you're putting out there. And then they look at your bio and they're like, oh, okay, well, what does he really do? Okay, is he marketing? And then he goes and he checks out your website. There's a lot of hoops to go through. But in LinkedIn, if you share a piece of content or you're connecting with people and they go look at your profile, well, let's go, right? Your LinkedIn profile is the place where people are going to find you. And the SEO on your LinkedIn profile is incredible because when you search for somebody on Google, as an example, right, your LinkedIn profile is going to be coming up. If you see a post on LinkedIn, your headline, which we'll talk about little pieces of profiles later, I hope, um, and I'll dive that in anyway. And your headline will follow you everywhere. So if I see a post from Damon and I go, oh, that's really interesting, I didn't know that. And I go to your profile, I'm like, oh, well, I didn't know he did that. And oh, that's really interesting. Or, oh, I see that we have a common connection. Or, oh, I see the companies he's worked for. Or, oh, that's really interesting. He volunteers here. I can read more about you. And then I go, oh, you know what? I do want to connect with him. Right? Then I can learn more about what you do and how you do it and who you help and all of that kind of stuff, right? So you can really connect with the people who make sense for your business. Absolutely. And then you can really position yourself to be found for people that you also want to connect with.
Well, let's talk about one's LinkedIn profile. Some of the pitfalls out there for people who can, or are listening right now, who can go and take a look at their LinkedIn profile. Obviously, the thought would be that you have too little or it's not updated, but can you have too much? What are some of the pitfalls?
I don't know anybody who's had too much, but there's definitely too little. So I've written a lot of profiles in my day. And I think the most interesting thing is when I sit down with them and I kind of go through all the pieces, and it's like, okay, well, tell me, I always had a questionnaire for them to fill out of what they've done, and I always get them to send me their resume. And then I look at their LinkedIn profile and I'm like, why are you keeping that a secret? Why are you not telling people about that? And it's like the most interesting thing, like that they've worked at this incredible company and it had this really cool job. And I'm like, why is it a secret? It's like, shh, don't tell anybody I have this superpower. Like, why would you not want to tell people about that? So like the LinkedIn profile has changed so much over the years, and they've always continuing to add more and more. So I think the downfall or the pitfall, I should say, that a lot of people fall into is that they haven't looked at their own profile in a while, or that they compare to somebody else's profile and they go, oh, I should have it like this. I should have it like that. Well, that's why we call it a personal brand, not somebody else's brand, right? Depending on how you work. So there's just so much that's in your profile that you can put in. You can tell I get really excited about it. But I think it's like, oh, well, who cares about that part? Oh, well, it doesn't really matter that I worked 20 years at this incredible company and I gained all this experience. No one really cares about that, do they? Yes, they do. They want to see your experience. They want to see what you can do. They want to read about your stuff, and you've got all these visual elements and you've got all this video elements and put in media here and there and featured in this and that. And it's like, oh my goodness, why wouldn't you have it completely updated to showcase what you do?
We hope you're enjoying this episode so far. Pros and Conversations is brought to you by For the Record Productions, providing video production services to corporate and nonprofit clients for over 20 years. To learn more about how we can help your business, visit videosthatmatter.ca. And by The Business Alliance, a professional peer group that helps you grow your business through networking, collaboration, and sound advice. To learn more about how to become a member, visit jointhealliance.biz.
So I want to circle back on that for a second, especially about the secret part, because I want to address there's a difference between other social platforms like Facebook, where you're almost indoctrinated to think about privacy and about oversharing and where there are dangers to that. And then you have to completely switch gears and say, oh, I want to share everything about me on LinkedIn. Is it a difference in a security level? Is it a difference in an application level?
It's a difference in what you share.
Right.
Because on LinkedIn, this is what I like about it, is you're sharing your professional side. I don't care how many kids you have. I don't care if you're married or divorced. I don't care, what you identify as. It doesn't matter. It's your professional side. So it's showcasing all of the stuff that's already out there known, right? You worked at this particular company. Now, I have ran into, I won't share too many details, but some sticky situations where people want to update their profile, but they don't really want to make too many changes, or they don't want to put too much out there because maybe this particular company doesn't know they work for this particular company, right? So you have to be really careful when it comes to that kind of stuff. But for the most part, you work for a company, you've left a company, you can get that person to share information, you can get them to recommend, you can tag that particular company that you used to work there. So there's all kinds of different ways that you can use it to your advantage. But again, it's your professional self. Even though it's a personal brand, it's your personal professional brand, not, hey, look at my vacation shots, and hey, look at where I just went on, the trip, or this is where so-and-so and I went and my girls' weekend, or whatever the case may be. That's Facebook. That's not LinkedIn. Now we're getting a little bit more personal. We're kind of blurring some lines, I would say, over the last few years, especially since COVID, in regards to the stuff that people are sharing. But again, that's their choice, right? If they want to share their family and stuff like that. But from a privacy perspective, I'd probably say no. Most stuff is public. So you just have to, that's your own personal choice on what you want to share.
So then let's talk about an example where you've got a great individual like Peter Reynolds, who is a professional and has a corporation and a company. He's doing great. But he also wants to share that he's written some books, and he wants to add that to his LinkedIn profile. It's not necessarily work related to his core competency, but there's benefit there, right? There's some personal side of sharing that is going to beef up his profile and show his range.
100%, because you want to see, it's like kind of like the volunteer experience, right? Like I look at, like, I've published this. Does it have anything to do with sort of quote unquote what I do? Not necessarily. And I volunteered at this. It shows a passion that you have that's maybe separate from your quote unquote job or what you do specifically to help your clients. But you're a writer. That's incredible. Like when I see that, I'd be like, oh my goodness, that's almost a better starting off point because people get to know the person behind the brand. And that's really important so that they know that you're not just this silo, that you're actually a more well-rounded person and you have other interests that can really kick off the conversation when you reach out to somebody or you're meeting with a client and I go, hey, I saw in your profile that you write books. Maybe they're fiction books. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? And sometimes that can be more of a common ground. And it's like, you know what? I do want to work with somebody like that versus somebody who just solely focuses on what they do and how they help their clients.
Yeah, I think that's been a challenge for me in the past is when you talk about your professional profile and it ends up being very dry because you don't want to include those elements. And I think like yourself, Damon, as a musician, as somebody, who has performed, who, plays the guitar, who, writes music, like that is something that makes you more well-rounded. And another element that somebody might connect with you. Whereas if they're looking at all these different, people and trying to decide on which one, someone who they connect with on that level may just be what makes them pick up the phone.
Yep.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. And at the same time, it's scary because it is sort of your passion and it's more into the personal side, but you're way more open to judgment when you start putting out content that you've created on your LinkedIn profile. Okay, I have one more question for Stacey before you take another breath, because no more deep breaths from you. Or shallow ones. Just stop breathing. There are lots of great guide tools on LinkedIn to help you beef up your profile. And they tell you, you're like 75% of the way, you really need to add these pieces. But they don't really solve the problem of creating the right type of profile if you're just filling in boxes. You have to do it properly. So can you speak to that? Because you've helped me with my profile, and every time I look at it, I'm like, wow, I forgot how good that is.
Well, I think talking about pitfalls, right? I think what ends up happening is you end up kind of going, I'm this. Okay, so I need to get people to understand that I'm a marketer, or I'm a producer, or I'm a this and I'm a that, and I need to get them to understand. So you make it all about you. Well, your LinkedIn profile actually isn't about you. I'm sorry. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but you need to write it with your client in mind, with your ideal client in mind, with your potential customer in mind. What's in it for them? Think about them when you're talking. Think about them when you're writing the profile. What benefit is it to working for someone like you versus, somebody else? Because if you just focus on your job or, whatever services you have on your website, so many people put that in there, right? But if you look at mine, you'll probably see something along the lines, somewhere in my bio, there'll be the word sarcasm, right? Because I'm a very sarcastic person. So I'm also very blunt and I'm very straightforward. So do you like that? Maybe you do, maybe you don't, but I'm not for everybody and neither is everybody else, right? So I actually want to see and understand who you work with. What type of person do you work with? What type of person are you? How do you help people? Because just because you're a marketer, it doesn't mean you work with all different types of companies or all different sizes of companies. So I want to be able to look at your profile literally before I even get to your profile. I want to see it in your headline. So I've seen a post, like let's just say, Peter did a post and you commented on it and I go, oh, Damon, who's that? I can see your headline right there. So I want to know before I even go there, before I even go to your profile, I want to know what's in it for me. Why should I go to your profile? How do you help? Do you solve a problem that I have? Think about those pieces. I've had people literally put pictures of their ideal client on their screen. I go, think of that person while you're writing your profile. Think about the image at the top. Does it speak to them? If you like it, I don't care. It has to be somebody who is looking at your profile and go, oh, you know what? That actually really resonates with me. Oh, yeah, okay, he does solve my problem. Oh, okay, so he does this and I'm that person that he does it for. Okay, so that's a good starting off point. Then you can go down and see if you're the right person. Then you can initiate, going forward from there. But if you don't capture them in the beginning and they don't feel like what's in it for them and they don't know, if I look at your profile and I don't even know who you work with, how you help them, I'm gone, right? I'm already left. You haven't even had a chance to talk to me.
That's really interesting. My first thought is, how did you get Stacy to do your profile, Damon? Okay, I don't remember that conversation.
Like I said, a friend of the show.
All right. So we're going to talk, okay? Because I see you there, all right? But no, absolutely. These are all, I mean, I think right after this podcast, exactly what I'm going to be doing is looking at my profile, because I'm sure it's all about me, and trying to think of that customer. I do it on my website. I know when I relaunched the website that I started to do it with the customer in mind and trying to solve their problems throughout the website as opposed to just telling them what services I do. But
because we forget, right? We forget that I'm not looking for someone to help me in marketing. I might not even know what that means. I just know that I have a problem in this area and I need someone to solve it for me. So think about what they're looking for and what they're searching for as well. Because you do it on your website and it's the same.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's part of that thing where it feels really personal again, right? So you get locked into that myopic point of view, but it's absolutely too close to it, and you don't realize what it is that people are really looking for. It's the same problem with marketing and branding that people think you need to know how the sausage is made. No, you need to know why they want it. That's what they need to know.
Exactly. You're not selling the sausage.
Right.
Exactly. Now, an interesting story. I was having a meeting with a potential client, and they were just talking about some of the things they did over COVID and how they, were helping to sort of, to help with their mental health. And they started to talk about role-playing games. And they started to talk about using that as a sort of a stress reliever. And there's that moment in a business meeting where, as somebody who does play role-playing games, even though being a nerd is a bit chic now, you think, do I say I do that as well? Do I hold back on that? But I thought, no, you know what? I'm just going to tell him that he doesn't need to say it quietly or under his breath, because I absolutely do that as well. And then that launched us into a whole other conversation, and we absolutely connected on that level. So basically, I think it's all about authenticity. Some things you're not going to be for everyone, as you said, Stacy. But I think that the more authentic you are, the better chance you have of connecting with more people than just being another face in the crowd.
And connecting with the right people. I think that's the most important thing, is that you don't need to be back in the day where they call people on LinkedIn, they call them lions, LinkedIn open networkers, which basically meant that they would connect to everybody. Now, it sort of doesn't really exist now. But I think you need to be very strategic in regards to who you have in your network, right? Like, we just did a program called Life Map Navigator, and we went live on LinkedIn for 10 days. And we were live on YouTube, and we were live in our community, and we were sort of giving away all this information, this challenge, masterclass for free. So we wanted to make sure it was accessible to everyone. But the good thing is that we had thousands of people watching it. The good thing is that we had a lot of people connecting with us on LinkedIn. The bad thing is that, are they part of the network that we want to maintain? Are they the right people for us? Are they the right? So we had to actually go through our list afterwards, because obviously we were connecting with everybody during the 10 days. But once that was over, it's like, no, this person might not be right to be part of the network. And where is your strategy in regards to what's the right person, what's not the right person? Do you want to have these people in your network? You want to make sure that you're connecting with the right people and not just everybody, because when you connect with absolutely everybody, it dilutes, and it also really starts to inhibit your lead generation, because now you're not becoming clear on who your network is. And people that's your reputation on the line, right? If I go to Peter and I see that I want to connect with somebody, and I see that you're connected to them, and I go, oh, that's great. I know Peter. I trust Peter. I trust Peter's network. So this must be a good person. And then I go to you and I'm like, hey, do you know so-and-so? And you're like, no. Why would I know them? I have no idea who they are. Now, I don't expect you to know absolutely everybody personally on any sort of level on your network. But if you look at them and you're like, nah, I just connect with everybody. Is that how you want to run your business in regards to network? Because we don't do it in person, right? Now, like I said, don't need to know absolutely everybody in your network. You're going to have thousands and thousands and thousands of people. who you're connected to on LinkedIn, but I think there does need to be a little bit of a strategic choice in regards to how you and who you connect